Hello, welcome back to the ministry. Today we're talking about the in between, that meeting in the middle. This is another kingdom marriage word. The Lord kind of put this on my heart the other day. I thought about it and then I heard two people mention it, and then I got a vision of something from one of my shows when I was growing up. It's like God just always uses this show. I cannot get away from it, even if I don't want to talk about it. He always uses that as the example and the plumb line for whatever it is that I'm talking about. But for some of these situations, some of these men, they're in a place where they have an element of themselves where they've gotten used to being the pursued one. And they know that 9 times out of 10, because of who they are, what they do, their appearance, so on and so forth, they can get a woman. They can get a woman without even thinking about it, because the women chase them. Some of us have been in a state where we've been like, God, he ain't saying nothing. God, he's not saying nothing. God, you're showing me that this is a dude, but he ain't saying nothing. He ain't doing nothing. He seemed like he way off over there, doing whatever he want to do. Am I the one over here crazy? Am I obsessing over something that was not what you're saying that it was? And God's saying, no, they know. Just because they don't look like they know, don't mean that they don't know. The Lord began to show me, I'll say it was late 2019, somewhere between mid 2020, that my God ordained spouse had turned around. He turned from the direction in which he was going, and he started walking towards me. Literally, I had an open vision of the man turn around and come walking towards my direction. And I was like, okay, all right. Then I started to get words that would pop up onto my YouTube feed. The first one, I believe, was from Prophetic Diary. She said that they've noticed you, they've received you. A couple months after that, there was a woman, I forget what her name is. I'm thinking I see her face in my head, but I can't think of what her name is. She's a coach that does ministry videos, but I haven't seen her do. It's like Felicia, something like that. What's her name? And she did a video. Your God ordained spouse has noticed you. Then it's another woman that popped up on my feed. I see her all the time. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. And she popped on my feed saying, your God ordained spouse has noticed you. And then it was Loving Miracles with Ray did a word. Your God ordained spouse has been observing you. He's noticed you. Then Keys to the Kingdom, about a year ago, did a word where she said, your God ordained spouse has noticed you. And immediately after she did that word that your God ordained spouse has noticed you, I had a dream that same night that showed me my God ordained spouse was tailing me in a vehicle. I was walking, he was in a car, and he was literally following me. Like if you're walking on the street and a car is following you. But I mean, the way it was being done was so obvious. It wasn't like, oh, he's driving in amongst traffic and just having to see me on the sidewalk walking and he's following me. I'm oblivious to it. No, I'm in a parking lot, a bunch of other cars, and I'm walking in a particular direction. I mean, he's right behind me in a vehicle. And I'm like, okay. And a lot of people have been saying this, and this has been a continual statement, that your God-ordained spouse, he noticed you, and now he's trying to figure out how to approach you. Just Emily did a word saying he's trying to figure out how he's going to approach you. And the Lord gave me the priviness of the ability to hear an audio clip of my God-ordained spouse talking. And he said something in it that for his position would make me think, really? He said that he was shy when it came down to approaching women. And I was like, Because where he sits in his position, you would think, nah, you smooth with it. There ain't no way that you're shy. They're shy. They're shy. And some of them have had the ability that over the years that their status has created this false sense of security where they never have to go but so far to get a woman. Because frankly, most of them just chased them. God showed me that in a dream, that these women tend to like to chase this man. And what was creepy was when I had a dream 5 years ago of women coming at him. And in the particular setting that he was in, it was like, okay, this is just a dream. I got shooketh to my spirit when I saw video footage that was identical to what I saw in my dream. And when I say identical, right down to the way that the woman came at him, to the point where it seemed like she was possessed. She came at him and it was video footage of this. I was like, oh my God. Why am I sharing this part, Lord? Point being that they never really had to take an initiative to get with anybody. These women will fall at their feet if they wanted them to. Easy. And for God have had us step back, for it says in his word, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about kings search out a matter. God has made this process a little bit more difficult for these men because of the fact that they had to stretch themselves beyond their pride, stretch themselves beyond their circumstance, stretch themselves in a level of where the enemy, but well, yeah, I guess it would be, has made it easy for them to feel comfortable in whatever they were in. But God has made them feel like, I need you to step outside of that because I need you to come over here. And a lot of these men have been carnal Christians, meaning they served God, they loved God, they spoke, they prayed, they did all of the things that you're supposed to do as a Christian, except these few things. Meaning they sacrificed everything else but this few pieces. And as we know, walking with God, when it comes down to sacrifice, is that element where God will say, yeah, I need that too. But I don't give up. I need that too. Iniquity is a sin that you like. I need that too. But give me that. So they've been being pruned of those rebellious habits and residues that they've had. And God's been stripping them slowly in a way that they knew they were being stripped. And some of them he had to rip the Band-Aid off, and some of them he had to rip the Band-Aid off several times over because they didn't get it the first couple times. They were dealing with certain other things that kept them under what's the word I'm looking for? Submission to other spiritual things, whether it be that they open themselves up spiritually through drugs, or they open themselves up spiritually through alcohol, because everybody knows alcohol is spiritual. So, because some of smoking, all that kind of stuff to them ain't nothing. But, with that being said, they've had to release and relinquish certain things. And I said that for a reason. They have noticed and they've perceived us. They've observed and they know who we are. They've seen it. God's shown it to them. God made it clear. And he's made it clear to them in a state of mind that they knew that it was God talking to them because of the fact of how God showed it to them. And they knew. And they've been walking through their process. But what God has been telling them is, no, I'm not going to let them come to you. They're not going to come to you. They're not going to say anything. They're not going to make this easy. We knew that because God already done told us you're not going to say nothing to them. You're going to sit and you're going to wait this out. You're going to do what I told you to do, which was to pray and to stand in the gap. But it's their position to seek us out. So they have to be the chivalrous gentlemen and approach us. They're not going to get out of that. It's just not going to happen. So they're going to have to meet us halfway. We've prayed, we've fasted, we've done all of the things that we were supposed to do. God said, you did it all. Good for you. You're in the middle. So are they. But they're going to meet you in the middle. Spiritually, they already met you in the middle. Some of y'all have already seen your God-ordained spouse several times in a coherent state in your dreams that has shown that they have met you already. God showed me my God-ordained spouse in a God house. We met in a godly covered place. Now, getting back to what I was going to say about the TV show. There was a situation in that show where the main character, who was the demon slayer, we as the children of God, we as the prayer warriors, we slay demons in the spirit. She, in fact, her name means promise of God. Her partner's name is Angel. He's an angel. And she and him had been separated for a couple of years at this point. And literally it was a couple of years because she passed away in the 5th season and her friend brought her back. God has had us in a season of isolation where we have been in a dry place, a dead zone, what have you, where God's been pruning us, but he's preparing resurrection for us. So we've been spiritually resurrected, and we're about to be physically resurrected. And our God-ordained spouses have already noticed us. The ordained spouses have noticed us even when we were in the state of the dead place. They were gathering information about us because we've been on almost a purgatory state. But the point in which the character got notifications, because in the TV series, their shows had been split, meaning the characters were on 2 different shows, meaning they were in 2 different places. Follow me. He's in LA, she's in Sunnydale. When she came back, meaning when she was resurrected, as soon as he got the phone call from her, you saw the on-screen moment where he was talking to one of the people he worked with, and a mutual friend of theirs came into the room and said, "Oh my gosh, she's on the phone." And he said, "What?" He said, "She's alive. She's on the phone." He hopped out of his chair and ran. At the end of the previous episode, which was her show, because that's the way that they used to air them, it would be her show, then his show, back to back. And when when he got up and went to answer the phone in the previous episode, she had picked up the phone to call him. So we have been desiring the communication. Now, she moved first. She made the communication, but she had to because he didn't know she was alive. And that speaks volumes there, because some of your God-ordained spouses are feeling for a pulse right now. They are feeling to know if they want, or we want them to contact us. The communication. A lot of us are in the spiritual space of pick up the phone, call us. That Sierra song, pick up the phone. A lot of us are like, come on, make the communication. We here. Whatever you need, we praying that you make that momentary of communication. Come on now. You can do it. But spiritually, we've already done this. I believe this is why. Remember, I did a video not too long ago where I was talking about let me know. Some of these God-ordained spouses have been in a headspace of let me know. I want to know, because in the song Let Me Know, go to my playlist called Songs That Remind Me of You. It's in there. It's in the upper parts of the playlist, because I reviewed it early, but God had me go back and revisit it. Some of these men I'd been doing a double check where they're like, can you let me know that you want this? Can you let me know that you desire this? Are you ready to do this? We've been in this song and dance spiritually for a while now. I need you to let me know or let me go. And they've been dealing with that. So they got temptations there. Let's just be honest. In the season that we're in, your God ordained spouse is being tested and tempted by all of the things that he would have normally done previously. And God is testing him to see if he will go back to him. I've seen in 3 videos I've watched already, we need to be praying about their purity right now, because some of them, they ain't been used to being celibate for a while. They probably would go celibate for a season and then fall off. I heard from a male pastor, he said this: men have the need within them that they need sex. It's literally, it hurts them because they must release that, whatever it is that they need to release. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to go into that. But it's literally genetically testosterone, whatever it is, they need to have that. So to go without it for a period of time, it's a struggle for them. It hurts them. And over time, it can physically hurt them. But they will make that sacrifice because they are consecrating themselves for you. But what the enemy does is he tempts them in their weakened state. Whatever it is, like the Lord may be allowing certain pressures to come upon them in this season. And as these pressures come upon them, what the enemy will do is he starts pressing buttons, and the Lord's allowing it to test them to see if, well, I'm going to bring this person back around. And you used to have good fun with this person, especially in that way. So let me bring her around. Or I know that this is the way that you used to calm your nerves. Are you going to go back to doing that thing? So you got to pray that they stay in that consecrated space, because God is about to open the door for them. They just have to remain consecrated and remain clarified to him. They know they must be sober-minded. So for just like I was saying, they may have had previous habits that they maintained, whether it be alcohol, whether it be smoking cigars, or whatever it is that they used as their crutch. These things, as we know, alcohol has a tendency to make it easier for you to talk. So they use these things that when they wanted to be in a certain space and be more jovial and be more smooth and all this kind of stuff, they will use that as their crutch. And God is saying to them, not with this one. She ain't going, you're not going to drink, you're not going to smoke, you ain't going to do whatever it is that you did. That means you got to be spiritually clear, 100% sober-minded and sober-hearted. I remember I was listening to one of the young women I listened to, and she was talking about she had been in her relationship, and during a season when she was going back and forth with this particular person, she said that the only time that they could really be open with one another was when they were under the influence of something else. But over time, the Lord broke that off of both of them. Some of these men have had these habits to do that in order to give them the crutch to be able to speak and be open and all of these things and be honest. And God's saying, no. You're not going to do that with this one. They're going to have to connect with you. They're going to have to be sober-minded with you. They're going to have to be clear with you. And they're going to have to be open in a way that they've never been open before in the first initial conversation. They're going to have to be honest. They're going to have to share some things. And a lot of us have been in this level of isolation and had to sit in a level of peace with God, because God's been like, there are going to be things these men are going to say to us, whether it be that they're coming back around again, or whether it's a scenario of it's a new person, but the Lord has been pressing on them certain things that they needed to say when they first met you. And some of these things may be hard to hear. That was the reason that they were being held up, the reason that they didn't want to open up to you. Some of it is childhood traumas that they dealt with that was preventing them from feeling like they were worthy enough to be a part of your life. And all of these honesties that they're going to have to be honest about scares them. It seriously scares them. But I was thinking about this morning, that some of these conversations, when they first happen, they're going to end up with probably both of y'all crying, because I keep remembering this video I saw by this person named Tenant OX. TENNETOX. She may have changed her name because I can't find it. But she was talking about your God-ordained spouse is going to cry. It's going to be a crying moment because they're going to literally have to open up. And I know my God-ordained spouse is very emotional. They're going to have to open up to you. And I was thinking about this morning. Lord, give me the words I need to say. A lot of us have been waiting upon this because we know that the Lord has shown us that this is part of our inheritance, and it's the shift of the supernatural wealth transfer. But I was thinking about this, and I wanted to say this. For when it comes down to your God-ordained spouse, for us, it's not as much about the money. It's not even about the security of having the home and the things that come with it. I had a moment this morning where I was thinking about this, complete transparency and honesty. The Lord showed me a vision years ago of me and my God-ordained spouse, a very simple image of me and my God-ordained spouse, where we had grown old together. And I thought about that moment this morning, and I think about what that moment would look like if you get to that point and then the person is no longer there. Yeah, you'll have your children, and your children will surround you and be with you in the latter years of your life. But I saw my dad lose my mom when I was 17 years old. And he's kind of been floundering ever since. My dad's about 82 almost. He'll be 82 this year. And he's just passing his time. And I can tell he's just passing his time. So I think about the fact when it comes down to our God-ordained spouses, these men haven't had a relationship in their life that they've laid down in the bed with women before. But they've never laid down in a bed with a woman that they had to be completely spiritually, emotionally honest with. God wants them to have a connection with us to a level and degree that they have never had with anybody else. But coming back to the growing old part, you can have the kids, you can have the house. But I remember when Tracy Braxton died, I guarantee you, all the money in the world, her husband didn't give a complete damn about anything after she passed away. He was concerned about the fact that he lost his wife. And that's the way we would be if we lost them. Where's my person that I sit on this bench with? We supposed to grow old together. You can have fully grown children, but you can't have the relationship you had with that person with your kids. It's something there. The joy, the laughter that you'll never hear again. You may have a son that looks just like your goddamn spouse, and that son may laugh just like he does. But you're never going to have that if something happens to them. So no, the inheritance isn't always about the money. It's about the relationship that you're going to have with this person. It's not about the sex. It's about the depth of connection you're going to have with this person. And some of these men have never had that level of transparency and depth within their life, which is my point. They've never had it. They've never had to have themselves be so stripped open before another person before. And they're scared. And the reason that it's taking so long is they're trying to figure out how to be that open with you. They don't know. They haven't known how. They got to open themselves up to a degree that scares them. So they've been spiritually in the middle place. Getting back to what I was saying about the two people in the two shows, she called him. As soon as he found out, he hopped up and he was out the door. As soon as they had their conversation, they met in the what? Middle. This is a meeting that's going to happen outside of the privy of either of your camps of people. This is a place and a space that you two are going to have. To this day, when it came down to those two in that show, no one knows what happened in that meeting. They never repeated it. They never said it on the show. They didn't say it on her show or his show, what happened when they met in the middle. There is a sanctification and sanctity to the sacredness of this meeting that's being prepared to happen. They're ready. We've been patient. We're the ones that need each other, and it's about to happen. You saw the video. The husband's about to come knocking on the door. Are you ready? And that's my word for today. Until next time. Bye-bye.